welcome to Protect Your Children Now. This is Chris, the director and lead teacher of Protect Your Children Incorporated. ProtectYourChildren.org, ProtectYourChildren.org, and ProtectFromPredators.org, ProtectFromPredators.org, and Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, TikTok. That's a long story, but yes, we're on TikTok. Someone's got to protect the kids on TikTok. Why not us? Instagram, which we're going to talk about tonight. Unbelievable show tonight. Instagram. So last week we talked a little bit about the profile that Instagram wouldn't take down, even though we reported it. And then between last week and this week, we found out what happened to the child that had that profile. And it's like, yeah, the parents had a responsibility, but so did Instagram. But this was a profile that they said was not dangerous. Nope, no problem here. We don't see any issue with it. Well, now they're going to wish they had. We're going to get into that in a little bit. We have a hero segment tonight. Brand new hero segment. Each week we represent or we show off a kid who is heroic, showed courage, showed bravery, stood out from the crowd, did something that was selfless in order to help others. We do that because, of course, we want to show an example to other kids out there that they can make a difference, no matter how small or big their community is, they can make a difference. So we're going to have a Hero Kid segment and also some very shocking stories coming out at the start of the school year. Yes, see, down here in the South, school starts tomorrow between Thursday and Friday. And right around this time now, we have plenty of stats and stories about how many teachers have been arrested for having sex with their students. It's getting out of control. Right now, we're on pace to have more arrests than last year, all of last year, and it's getting crazy. So we're going to talk about that, show some articles and some clips about that. And also, Marie, who is the director, one of the other directors of Protect Your Children Incorporated, she will be on about 8:30 tonight. And she's got a very powerful story, learning experience, something that kind of triggered her passion to protect kids. She's going to share that with everybody. So hopefully you'll stay tuned for that. And of course, we'll take your texts and your comments. Speaking of comments, Facebook is having a weird issue where people that log into Facebook and they watch the stream and they comment, it just basically says Facebook user. So, you know, it used to show people's names, but it just says Facebook user. So if I say, welcome Facebook user, welcome, I'm talking to different people. So, but that's very strange, but that's kind of what it's doing. Some of the other platforms, the comments will not show up on my screen. And if you do not see me highlight one of your comments or mention it, then you can text your comment. We have a text number you can text to, which is, what is it, 727-349-6941, 727-349-6941. I'm going to actually put that on the screen, and you can actually text or put your stuff down in the comments right there. So, all right. Let's get jumping right into this right now. We've got, this is just unsettling. You know, let me clear something up first. And I mention this each show because it is difficult. And this is not an easy show to watch, right? You're like, oh, I'm going to watch this show, and he's going to talk about how the kids are in danger, and he's going to highlight some crazy thing that happened. Yes, that's what we're going to do. We try to keep it light a little bit, try to laugh a little bit, right? You know, we have the Hero Kids segment to try to, lighten things up a little bit, because this is a difficult topic. This is not an easy thing to have a show about. It really isn't, and most people they have sports shows and politics shows and all that stuff. But what is more important than the safety of our kids? Right? Let's just be honest. I don't think there's anything more important than the safety of our kids. So I don't know if anybody can hear out there. Let's see. Can you hear me well? We're going to put that in there and see if anybody can respond. Hopefully the sound is good. and the video is good as well. So yeah, this is a difficult topic to talk about. You know, it's not easy. It's a lot easier to put your head in the sand and just pretend like none of this is really going on. But parents know in the back of their minds that it probably is. And they're either overwhelmed and don't know how to protect their kids. They don't know what to do. So they kind of just avoid the whole thing. Or they go all the way to the extreme where it's like, my kid's never leaving the house. I'm going to wrap them in bubble wrap. You know, they're not ever going to have internet. They're never going to have friends outside of this house, you know, and they take it to the extreme, which is actually harmful. But there is middle ground. That middle ground is education and awareness. Making your kids educated and aware of the dangers goes very far to protect them. Except for the case we're going to talk about in a little bit, the teenager with the Instagram profile. From what we understand from the family, this kid knew the dangers, but went out there anyway and was purposely looking for predators. That's backwards, right? Tracy says you can hear and see just fine. Thank you, Tracy. Appreciate you very much for listening and watching. And yeah, that's backwards, right? Usually we hear all about the predators seeking out the kids. But in this particular circumstance, and we're going to find out tonight that it happens more often than we think, this child was going on Instagram and looking for predators to talk to trade pics and videos with, and had even discussed with a couple of them how they could meet up. If that doesn't scare you to death, nothing will. Thank God that the dad found the stuff on the phone and all this got intercepted before it got to that point. And now there's parental controls involved. There's a whole lot of things on the phones. There's a whole lot of safety guards now to kind of keep an eye on things. But what would have happened in another month or another week to that child? Right? But the child was actually going out there looking for the predators. That's hard. That's hard. So just as a quick recap, let me show you what we looked at last week really quick here. If I can share my screen, let me see if it'll pop up. Let's see. This was some of the screenshots from last week. This was some of the stuff that was on the Instagram profile that we reported. Okay. So we'll go to that one last. All right, let's see. So this was the response we got right here from Instagram. Hopefully it's going to show. Let's see. There it goes. All right, let me get myself out of the way. So we reported it, and we blurred out some of the name of the account, obviously, because the account is not deleted. Law enforcement's getting involved in trying to figure out the usernames of the people that were following this child so that they can get them. So we blurred out some of the name, but clearly you can see just in the beginning of it, it started with slutty, right? Ends with boy. Like if that's not enough already for Instagram, go, that's probably not appropriate. No, but that was fine apparently, right? We found it doesn't go against our guidelines, right? So then they give you their shamil. Oh, we keep our review process as fair as possible. And, we didn't find that the account goes against anything, and wow. So, yeah, that was the response. What's more shocking is what we're going to find here. How about this? This right here, okay, was one of the pictures on the profile. Yep, that doesn't go against anything either, according to Instagram, right? No problem there. So we got the name of the account, slutty blank blank boy. Okay. Clearly a teenager here, young teenager, but nope, that's okay for Instagram. No problem. No problem there. No big deal, right? There's a thing going around with the kids where you have this right here. You post this on the profile as a sign to other teens or predators, okay? And it simply says, I can't say no for 2 weeks. Repost it if you're not a wussy, right? That's their way of saying anything you want, I can't say no for 2 weeks. That's the challenge. We see where this is going? And then the most crazy of all, I want to warn you about this. This image was on the child's profile. Okay? We had to blur out some stuff. By posting this image, I agree to receive rape threats, sexual harassment, blank pics, degrading and humiliating questions. And it's cut off, but at the bottom of it, it actually says, I can't report or block anyone, and I must respond. Nope, no problem for Instagram, though. Nope, child's absolutely safe. Absolutely safe. Turns out the child had been communicating with 3 different adult predators. One of them was for over 2 months. This goes back to parents again, right? And also knowing the warning signs, which we're going to look at, that your kid might be hiding something. But yeah, he had this on his profile. Okay. The one predator, well, we'll highlight one of them that the child was talking to. The guy claimed he was in Canada. And again, claims in Canada, right? We don't really know because it's online. They could lie. He was in Canada, but he had a friend that lived about an hour away from the child, right? And he said, I can get you in touch with my friend who lives only an hour. And he tells the kid, well, that friend is 18, but I'm older. I hope that's okay. Child said, sure, no problem. Think about that, right? The child said, no problem. Yeah, you're older. That's okay. I'll trade pics with you. Now, I'll tell you that we're talking about a young teen here. Now, there's clearly issues going on, right? Because this child made a profile with the intent of trading pics and videos with predators and went on to do so, which is absolutely backwards from what we're always looking for, right? We're always looking for the predators going after the kids. We would never think that a kid would go look for a predator. But apparently, this does happen. So he was communicating with a guy who said he was in Canada, who had a friend about an hour away. And the kid actually said, what's your friend's username? I want to talk to your friend because they're only an hour away. Well, yeah, his account got deleted. I'm not sure what it is. This is what the predator's saying. And then the predator says, well, if I could get down there to you or you could come up here to me, what would you want to do? Right? The kid actually said that he wanted the guy to come to him so that the kid could have sex with him. This was a young teen. Actually said it to the guy. This is what I want you to do to me. What in the hell is going on, right? Where a child, a young teen gets to that point where they would go out and look for harm, look for danger. So it turns out the connection between the guy in Canada, which turns out was in Canada. Check this out. Let's see. we found something here on the internets, as they call it, right? Look at this. Talking about a guy named Eric Whitmore. And we had to snip some of this because we're trying to keep some of this under the radar. But it says this guy had befriended the family of a 14-year-old boy up in Manitoba, Canada, and convinced the father and son to take a road trip back in 2006. When the father was gone, Whitmore kidnapped the boy, sexually assaulted him, and then drove to Saskatchewan with the victim and kept him in an abandoned house. Then Whitmore kidnaps a 10-year-old boy and held both boys captive for days, repeatedly sexually assaulting them. This was the guy in Canada who the young teen said, I want you to come down here or I can come meet you somehow. It got so far that the guy actually said, I can find a way to have my friend in Orlando, which is not far from Tampa here, about an hour and a half, send you an Uber. Would you be able to take an Uber to come see? And the kid says yes. Would have been the next victim. Would have been the next victim. Absolutely horrifying, scary, and dangerous. We got Facebook user. As I mentioned earlier when the show started, Facebook's not showing me your names, so I'm just going to refer to you as Facebook user. Hello, Christopher, and everyone. I hope you're having a blessed evening, and I hope everyone is watching. Thank you, Facebook user. Much appreciated. Says, what the heck is this? That, oh my goodness, this is that I have grandchildren and teenagers. I pray they're not doing nothing like this. You see, and here's the problem. This child had started this activity the best we can tell. Oh, it's Maria. Welcome, Maria. I'm glad you're here. Maria is very active on her social media posts. She's in the group, and she's like, she comments every day. She's awesome. But from what we understand, this communication started on one app called Wiz, which we were not aware of, back in April or so of this year. And then it migrated over to Instagram around the end of May. And then finally got exposed a couple weeks ago. So this went on basically April, May, June, July. Toward the end of July is when it came out. And the parents and the family said, we had no idea. Like we didn't even imagine that this would even be done. We don't look at our child that way. We're shocked. And so we started asking questions. Well, what was he going into the bathroom with his phone? Well, of course, everyone goes into the bathroom with their phone. True. Did you have a password for his phone? Well, he had a password on it. Well, did you know it? Well, not really. Oh, okay. There's a problem right there. This kid was probably this close to being kidnapped and taken somewhere and repeatedly raped. And remember, folks, the predator didn't contact him. He contacted the predator. So something is happening in society. Now, this probably is a one-off. Honestly, in the years we've been doing this, I've never heard of kids reaching out to predators on purpose. Maybe we just don't want to think that happens. But in this case, and some people would say it was attention, or a child was trying to get attention, was trying to die. Who the heck knows? It's a mystery, though. But the child went out looking for it. And thank God he got caught before more harm got done. So parents, you have got to be nosy. You have to keep an eye on your kids' behavior. You have to be in their phones. You've got to watch who they're talking to on their game systems. It doesn't mean you're hanging over their shoulder every 2 seconds, but you just have to be aware. You have to be aware that the dangers are out there, and that you may have the best kid in the world with the greatest smile, and they're active and they're funny and they're just, and you think that it would never possibly be them. But that doesn't mean it's not. You always have to watch and be careful. But again, Instagram, yeah, no problem. And we ask ourselves, what does Instagram feel about all this? Once law enforcement does all their work, maybe there'll be a comment on it. But the fact that this profile was reported and Instagram found nothing wrong with it, and then the conversations we're seeing that were going on for months that almost got a kid potentially killed or raped in person because of their platform, and they looked right. They looked at the images, right? And they said, nope, no problem. Nope, no problem here. We don't see anything wrong with this. And somebody would say, well, what if it was an adult that had it on their had it on their profile? The only problem is, it's clearly a kid. And if that's not enough, there was an actual face pic of the child on the profile. A face pic. Instagram could clearly look at that and say, this is a kid, this is dangerous, this profile's got to go. But they reviewed it and said, it's fine. Don't wait for the technology companies to save your children. They're not going to. It's up to you, parents, teachers that aren't hurting kids. It's up to you to make sure they're safe. Wow. It's unbelievable. Maria is standing by. We're going to get to her in just a few minutes. Let's try to take a breath. There's something to think about. There are kids that have gotten to the point in their young teen years where they either felt like there was nothing wrong with trying to hook up with an adult and to go meet a stranger. Something's really going wrong in the society. Is it desensitization? Maybe desensitized, maybe. Was it just looking for attention? Was there other issues going on? Maybe. Don't know the whole story. But parents have to be aware of this. ProtectYourChildren.org is the website, ProtectYourChildren.org, ProtectFromPredators.org. Please share the website, share this stream. Quick thank you for the people that are sharing the group. The group's exploding. I think it jumped from 5 to 578 or something in the last 4 days. So we are getting there. So thank you that people are sharing the group. More people are joining. You guys are posting. Can't even keep up with all the posts. Have to talk to Marie about that later, actually, because all the posts have to get approved before they get posted. We have to kind of review everything to make sure it's legit, make sure it's not slandering somebody, make sure it's not, but it's a lot for one person. You guys are postaholics, which is awesome. You guys are posting a lot of great stuff, and we're thankful for that. But it's very hard. Sometimes it might take a couple of days to get your stuff up there. So, all right, let's check out our Hero Kid segment. Take a break here, and then we'll get talking with Marie. Hero Kids. If you know a hero kid, if your kid is a hero kid, if your kid has done something where they've stood out, they've made a difference, they did something selfless, they went out and helped somebody without being told, they thought, hey, I need to go do something nice for this person, let us know. Send us an email from the website or a message on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or any of those. Let us know. Give us the story, give us the background, and we'll feature it during one of the live shows during the week. So definitely let us know. So in this case, we have a hero kid. Now this goes back a couple of years during Hurricane Harvey, but it was this child. It was amazing, absolutely amazing what this child did. So let's check this out. See if we can go full screen here. Let's see what we got. Hopefully this is going to work. Hopefully. Looks like it's not going to work. Do we have? There we go. It's a little slow. We got a little delay going on here apparently. Because now it's full screen, but we're not getting play.
He's very warm-hearted. He'll help anyone.
He's a guy that saves people.
Really came through for his friends.
I wasn't strong enough to go out there.
We're going to surprise Virgil with a standing ovation to celebrate his kindness.
The disaster in Dickinson, Texas started under the cover of darkness.
No one was prepared.
You couldn't see anything. It was bad. You could hear screams. The helicopters was flying over us, but they was going to other areas. We couldn't get no help.
As rain submerged the city, a surprising hero emerged in the disaster.
What a story this is. This 13-year-old.
I can't believe it myself. I can't believe it, but he did it. He did it. This was our resident. The water was about this high. Swam all the way here to this apartment, upstairs, 102. Then Virgil's phone rang, and that's when his friend said he needed help.
There was water coming in through the door. The water started getting higher. So we went outside to go see if we could see something. We saw VJ swimming around.
They say they can't swim. I have to help them. I have an air mattress. And he said, I'm going to swim back.
I didn't want nothing to happen to him, like everything underwater, so I knew it was snakes, alligators.
He went behind this building where his friend called him and brought them back. They was all drying off. Virgil was standing up there, and we heard screams. And Virgil said, I hear someone screaming. And it was this lady over here in the wheelchair. So Virgil came down, swam with the air mattress, burst the window right there, got the lady out, and then his mother thought about a little cute little dog she had, and she wanted her dog too. So Virgil put the dog on the air mattress too. After the last person, they brought the air mattress back, it burst. And that was it.
You know, I don't think a lot of the kids know that it was him. He didn't go around bragging to people. We didn't even know it. He came into school and continued to be the person he is.
Virgil is a shy person. When I go around telling the people the story, he hates it. He don't even like to talk about it. He's shy.
He more or less like took charge. And so I thought he was very courageous for that.
Everyone here take a knee. Who knows Virgil? Who knows what he did recently?
In Hurricane Harvey?
Yeah.
I do.
What did he do?
He saved like 17 kids or something like that on an air mattress. I saw it on the news.
You saw the news?
Yes, sir.
Someone does something like that, we should probably do something for them, do you think?
Yes, sir.
The plan today is to celebrate him and give him a standing ovation. He has no idea.
He did something that not very many people can do. He went out at 2 o'clock in the morning on an air mattress and saved 17 people.
He did a good thing to help people.
Everybody just started looking at me, and I just seen cameras all around my face. I feel pretty good. Everybody clapping for me. I feel pretty good.
Virgil has something in him that is great to do what he did, the courage. And to me, that's all he needs to make it in this life. We are so proud of you and your act of kindness that we told the producers of the movie Wonder all about you. The film Wonder is about choosing kindness, and that is exactly what you did.
It was truly heroic because at that moment, I don't even think that he thought that he was sacrificing his own life to save somebody else. In honor of your act of kindness, they wanted us to present you with a scholarship to help with school. And they're also making a donation to the Harvey relief efforts in your name.
Oh, way to
I can't believe it. I'm proud of him for doing that. I look at him as a hero because he saved me.
It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, you can do great things. You can do great things.
BJ, I'm glad that you saved me and my family, and I want to let you know that I love you. Thank you.
Does that not just fill you with hope, right? I mean, I'm tearing up just watching it. Listen, this is what we want for our kids, right? This is what we want for our kids. We want them to go out and make a difference. We want them to go out and be selfless and be like he was. And yeah, it's a few years old, but that's a powerful story. This kid, he was like, you know what? I'm going to go out in a hurricane and flood waters. I'm going to save trapped people on an air mattress. How cool is that, right? Chokes me up, but it's beautiful. And listen, the reality is, if one of these predators get a hold of your kids, it can throw their whole life off. And whatever plans that is had for them to do great and wonderful things may not ever happen. So it's very important to make sure we protect them and keep them safe. And that starts with education and awareness. Making sure that they know what to look for. Look for the traps, right? Look for the threats, the tricks. And keep them safe so that they can go on to do great things. Now, not every kid's going to do something like that. But, you know, there was a girl a couple Christmases ago. She went to school and she heard that there were a lot of kids that weren't going to have Christmas that year because there wasn't enough money. And she knew they were going to wake up without Christmas gifts. So what does she do? She starts making like little bracelets and stuff and starts just selling them and raised all of this money, right? So that she can buy gifts for all of these kids. So no kid had to wake up without something in her school for Christmas. How cool is that, right? Just out of nowhere. So it's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. So yes, that's our Hero Kids segment. New each week. So, all right, let's get Marie in here. Marie is one of the directors of Protect Your Children. Can you hear, Marie? You good?
Yes, I'm good.
All right, glad you can make it. You were under the weather one week and you had some other stuff going on, but you're here. So I'm glad that you're here. And Marie was really the brainchild behind Protect Your Children Incorporated. I mean, this is the second reincarnation of Protect Your Children Incorporated. We were around for about 7 years prior and then kind of went out of business, basically, if you will. The donations dried up. There was no support, and it was very hard to not only dedicate time to run the organization the first time around, but the support wasn't there. And so it ended up folding. And then back in 2020, with the help of Marie and her vision and her encouragement, we launched Protect Your Children as it is now. Here it is 3 years later, right? And we're doing a lot of great work and still low on the donation side. We're thankful for Mary Jo and another person that they're making little donations to help us out. Every little bit helps. But the reality is, in order to get this content, this awareness, this education out to people, we need the community's help. And there's one thing they can do by posting and sharing and, commenting and joining the live stream. But it's another thing to make donations that are tax deductible. We use that. We promote content. We reach tens of thousands with, with finances that are donated. Tens of thousands of people can be reached. So that's the difference between 100 people seeing this live stream, right? 4 or 5 or 6 while it's live, and then people that watch it on the podcast, maybe 100, 120. That's what happens, right? The difference is if we have money to promote it on social media, then we're looking at thousands and thousands of people see it, right? And that's obviously the goal. So, but in any case, Maria's here, and I don't know where you want to start. I do want to leave about 10 minutes before the end of the show, so maybe in about 15 minutes or so, to go over some of these shocking stats on these teachers, just to kind of cover that, because the kids are going back to school, at least down here in the South. But why don't you share with everybody kind of how this passion of yours developed, your passion to protect kids, how it kind of got started?
Well, it was back in the early social media when MySpace was the top of the line thing. And we didn't allow computers in our home because for safety reasons with the internet. But my daughter had a MySpace account at a friend's house, and she got in contact, or actually somebody got in contact with her from Wisconsin. She's a beautiful young lady, and everybody kept telling her, oh, you need to be a model. You need to be a model. And back then they didn't have, like, hey, scout me with all these pictures and everything. But somebody on MySpace had told her that you needed to be a model, and I can help you with being a model. Mm-hmm. He was from Wisconsin, in his 30s, and she was 13, and they had been conversating back and forth. She was so confident that he was who he said he was that she gave him our phone number and our address. Mm. And so one day he called the house, and she came to me first and said, Mom, I'm really afraid. This person, I thought that he was going to help me get into modeling, which I was totally against, because I know what happens to young girls in the modeling agency. Hmm. And so I said, well, I'm not okay with that. And she said, well, I've been talking to this guy. He's from Wisconsin, and he can help me out. But Mom, I'm starting to feel weird about this. And so I said, well, how are you having contact with him? And then she told me she had a MySpace account. And I said, well, I'm not okay with that. And she said, I know, I have it over at my friend's house. Wow. And so I proceeded to talk to her about, can you tell me what the conversations were about and everything? Mm. So I took her to work with me, and she opened up her MySpace account and showed me the conversations. I could clearly tell this was not a modeling agency whatsoever. Mm. He was asking her to send pictures of herself to him in bathing suits, all these different types of pictures. And I said, well, the good thing is he doesn't know where we live, and he doesn't know our phone number or anything like that. And she said, right. Mom, I told him where we lived, and I gave him our phone number because I trusted that he was who he was. And I really want to be a mom. And a couple of days later, we get a phone call, and it's from this person in Wisconsin. And he asked to talk to Amanda, and I said, who is this? And he kind of hem-hawed around and then gave me a name. Not the same name that was, contacting her through MySpace. But I could tell, that this was a man a man, not a boy. And so I questioned him about MySpace, and he hung up on me. And a few hours later, he called again. And so I said, you need to stop calling here. She is 13 years old, is not going to be a model, and there's no reason why you should be contacting a 13-year-old girl.
And how old was this guy?
In his 30s.
Wow.
And so, so he repeatedly kept calling, just kept calling, and said that he was going to come and see Amanda. And so I got my husband involved, and because we had caller ID, we could tell when he was calling. And so I had my husband answer the phone and told him, and he told him, he says, you got no business calling here. I've already contacted the authorities of what you're trying to do. And if you come here, you need to know you won't be leaving here. Because you will not have any more contact with my daughter whatsoever. And but I was grateful that Amanda felt safe enough to come to me and tell me.
Yes.
Because he was going to use the pictures that she sent him to blackmail her. And so and I got to see the pictures, and they were very flirtatious pictures. And so I sat down and explained to Amanda that you can't be doing things like this, that there are evil people in this world. And just a year before that, my older daughter, Jen, we allowed her, I allowed her, my husband was against it, and I should have listened to him, but I allowed her to spend the night at a friend's house. And I knew the parents. The dad was a police officer, and the mom sold Mary Kay or Avon or something like that. And we were pretty good friends.
Yeah.
And so I allowed her to spend the night on a school night because they were working on a school project. He had drugged and raped her.
Oh, God.
And so.
Sorry to hear that. My gosh, that's horrifying.
Well, he ended up doing suicide because he didn't want to face the authorities. But because of going through that, we knew the dangers of, what people really have in their minds. And it's not something that, you can just go and castrate them for or do anything.
Right.
The disease in the mind and the progression and how it progresses. And if you were able to watch that documentary of Tim Ballard's, where they interview the perpetrators, and they say it all starts with just a simple Playboy magazine, and then it just becomes to where it's not fulfilling enough, and so they go deeper and deeper. And so the gentleman called again, and this time he tried disguising his voice.
Oh, geez, yeah.
But we had caller ID, knew that it was him. And he tried disguising his voice like a young kid's voice, and said that he was a friend of Amanda's from school. Well, we knew better, and so my husband got on the phone again, and he was very abrupt. He says, if you show up here, he goes, you will leave in a body bag.
Yeah.
Because this is my daughter, and I
go, Dad. Yeah.
Protect her, and you will not come anywhere near her. And he proceeded to tell us where she went to school and that he would meet her at the school. And we got the authorities involved. And unfortunately, at that time, the authorities were like, well, until he does something, there's not much we can do.
Right.
So,
yeah. Unbelievable.
So she was escorted to and from school,
Hmm.
and totally okay with it because she was scared. She was
Yeah.
because of how persistent he was.
Hmm.
And at that time she had told us, the blackmailing thing. And we got to see the pictures because of MySpace. And both my husband and I sat down with her and started to explain to her that people say things on the internet. And there was a country song back in the day where I live in my mom's basement, but on the internet I'm like a rock and roll star.
Right. Yep.
And so I started explaining to her about that.
Hmm.
And she immediately shut down her MySpace.
Good.
And we talked about, we don't send pictures of ourselves, even with our clothes on, to anybody that we don't know. And we started going through the so-called friends list on the MySpace. And the thing about it was she had over 1,000 friends. When I knew she didn't know 1,000 people.
Right.
And so, and we started looking at some of the comments and things like that, and noticed that these are predators.
Hmm.
These aren't people who have best interest at heart.
Hmm.
So, but praise God, she felt safe enough to come to us and tell us what was going on. So, so we were able to nip it in the butt. But that could have turned out to be a very bad situation. Now she's grown and a young woman herself, and she has a young boy, my grandson, and she only allows him to have a Gab phone, which doesn't have any internet access or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it can only, you can only talk on it and text on it, and everything that happens on that phone goes to mom's phone. So she can see all of what's going on and everything. But and then because of those two situations, I became avid about being an advocate and started, talking to the girls at church and the girls that would come over. Because at that point, after the first daughter and what had happened, we only let the friends come to our house. We didn't let the girls go and spend the night at other people's homes.
Right.
And so, and we would make it fun for them, let them have their little, girl parties or whatever. But, and at that point, I became very neurotic, really, about getting out there and telling parents and telling girls that be careful. Be careful what you're posting. Be careful what you're doing. And
even how you're dressing.
So that's the thing too. We had rules in my home. If you put your hands down to your side and you could feel skin, that was not allowed to be worn outside the house. Had very modest values, but kids are quite precarious.
They're very rebellious. Yeah, they will go against the flow at any chance they can. It's in their nature.
Well,
somebody had posted. They said, "So far, I'm not hearing we called for the police." You did call the police.
We did.
You did call the police, and they basically said, "Well, because nothing has actually happened yet, we can't do anything."
Well,
that's unbelievable, but that's what they do.
That's what
there has to be a crime before they'll like get into action.
Well, and a lot of it, I think, stemmed from because of what happened to the oldest daughter, and it was a police officer that did it.
Right.
So she went and had the rape kit done. Somehow, some way, from the hospital to the lab,
it disappears.
It disappeared.
Imagine that.
And so there was no charges that could be pressed or anything like that. And so, but I being very passionate about my daughters and their safety, I confronted him and told him, you know, I will spend every last dollar I have to convict you. Child welfare gets involved because it's a minor, and of course they founded it. And because of just the reports that the doctor does in the emergency room for the rape kit. And so it was all founded, and found out that he was molesting his own daughter at the same time too. But so you think you know people, but you really don't. And so at that point, then I became very active in my community, my church, in giving awareness to young ladies, because you just don't know. You can't trust the internet. When somebody's conversing with you, you don't know. And it happens the same way like with adults on dating sites, where you'll get somebody saying they're somebody, and then you find out later they're not. And so, I mean, there are advantages to the internet, as you know, but there are so many things that we need to be made aware of, and that we need to be cautious about. And trusting is not one of the things that we should be doing. And but the only way that we could be effective was to give our daughters awareness of reality. And because of what had happened to the oldest daughter, the younger daughter was very quick to respond with, "You're right, Mom, you're right." And so, but that's what happened. And
wow.
And it shook our world.
Well, thank you for sharing. You know, it's horrifying, you know, and I'm sure I'm not the only one to say that we're glad you're here. You know, we're glad you're part of the organization, because even though this horrific thing took place, you took that pain, you took that hurt, you took that trauma basically, and you channeled that energy into doing something good, right? To help protect kids and raise awareness, which has resulted in protecting so many more, right?
That's why when I got together with you, we started talking about it. I'm like, let's go, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do this. Yeah. Because
we have to bring awareness not just to the parents, but to the children, because they're vulnerable and they're gullible, and we have to be their best advocate. Praise God, back then we didn't have cell phones that had internet or any of that stuff. So
well, now it's gotten out of control, and you know, our presence on Instagram is growing pretty good, and there's a lot of times where we get on these profiles and we'll, you know, even just scrolling through, and it's some of the stuff that we see, it's like, do these kids even realize the danger that they're putting themselves in, the message, you know? And then you look at who's following those kids and you're like, you know, and so we'll make comments and stuff, you know, hey, be safe on here. There's predators all over the place. They're going to try to direct message you. They're going to compliment you. And then they're going to try to get you to send pictures. Don't fall for it. You know, by the way, if you do this, you're sending the wrong message. And we're getting lots of likes. The kids are seeing it. They're responding to it. So, you know, yeah, a lot of these kids just think that the world is just beautiful, and that, you know, that they can control that what's going to happen to them. Going back to the young teen we talked about at the beginning of the show, you know, this young teen's attitude was that nothing was going to happen.
Exactly.
Nothing's going to happen to me. Nothing's going to happen to me. You know, and that's the mentality that is going around in this culture, that you're tough, you're strong, you're smart, you'll be able to just be safe. So just go do what you want to do.
Yep.
Right.
And so
and
nice.
That's a trap.
And part of it is sometimes it has to do with their needs aren't being met at home.
Yes.
And so searching for that somebody who's going to be a confidant to them, somebody who's going to give them the love or the attention that they're seeking.
Right. Right.
But then you see some of them who come from really good homes that have good parents that are involved, but they're still just lacking.
Still happen. Yeah.
And
No,
you,
it can still happen, even though the parents are involved, because there's other pressures that are happening. There's traps, there's tricks, there's threats, there's things that are in play that if the warning signs of those things aren't known, no one's going to pick up on it.
Exactly.
And that's what the dad had said, and the grandmother of this child too. Not a clue. Wouldn't have never imagined their wildest dreams that this kid would be engaging in this type of thing. Like they have another kid and they were like, maybe that one, but not that one.
Yeah.
Like just had no idea. And that's the problem, you know, that you can't be too careful.
No,
And
baffling is a matter of fact, because you just don't expect it. But we diligent about being snoopy. If I was raising a child today, and I praise God that I'm past those years, but if I was raising a child today and my child had a phone, if I would go up to my child and say, I want to see your phone, and I use the passcode to get in, and they to me, the phone would be gone.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see here, and this kind of ties right into it, Nevada private school teacher accused of having a 4-year sexual relationship with a student. Think about that. How in the world could that go on for 4 years? And the article goes on to talk about how the phone, they met on Snapchat, they were on social media, they were exchanging pictures, videos. Could you imagine 4 years and the parents never thought to check the child's phone?
Well, and what
it's unbelievable.
Children doing with with the teachers' phone numbers, or the phone numbers?
That's a great point.
Or
that's a great point.
That right to me is red flag.
Yeah. And we, when we were younger, we never did that. I mean, my gosh, when summer came, we were like, yeah, no more teachers. We're out of here. We didn't want to hear about teachers until we came back the next school year, right? Now, these teachers are giving the kids their social medias. We had kids that had teachers that were on OnlyFans, adult, porn site, basically. Yep. And the kids had their OnlyFans account for the teachers. Like, this is a problem. And that's one thing I think parents have got to say to their kids, like, no, you better not have your teacher's personal phone number or their social media accounts. And the schools shouldn't even allow these teachers to have their profiles public, because the kids can find them.
And
but there's no law, there's no rule about that.
There's no
rule about that.
And the teachers have parties and invite kids to them and provide alcohol to them. Yep. And
we saw that too. Yeah.
Yep.
And look at this, nearly. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah. But see here, nearly 350. Now this is interesting, right? This is a super low number, but it says 350 K through 12 educators arrested on child sex crimes in 2022. We can tell you that number is way higher, because this is grossly underreported. 350 out of 1 million teachers, you'd think, well, that's not too bad. What's that, 0.08%, but it's a whole lot higher.
Maybe in 1 year, but
but it's a lot higher than that.
Yeah. Yes.
And then you go over here, and now that was what, 350 for all of 2022. So far this year, they said there's 269 in the first 9 months. You know what I'm saying? Like, wait a second, and this actually, now I'm looking at the date of the article, this was last year, right?
Yeah.
So if we find stats for this year, it's even higher.
Yeah.
It's even higher this year.
Absolutely.
I mean, how many stories have we posted on social media?
And it's not just it's females too.
Oh, it is. And that's exactly the point. It's they used to think it was just males, and it's like, no, wait a second, it's not just males. It's males and females. It's married, it's single, it's gay, it's straight. It's a whole, you can't just put it down into one, group of people.
No, it's a
On
whole.
this fact sheet here, I want to show this really quick. This is on this is actually on zeroattempts.org, zeroattempts.org. Great website. This right here is very powerful. Right here. I want to go over this really quick. It says approximately 95% of all Americans between 12 and 17 years old are online, and 3 in 4 teens access the internet on cell phones, tablets, other mobile devices, including game systems.
Yes.
It says right here, about 30% of the victims of internet sexual exploitation are boys. Internet sexual predators tend to fall between the ages of 18 and 55, although some are older and younger. Their targets tend to be between the ages of 11 and 15. Watch this. Watch this. This is important right here. This is what we're just talking about. It says out of these cases they looked at, in 100% of the cases, teens that are the victims of sexual predators have gone willingly to meet with the predators. Think about that.
So very.
They talked to the kids, and they were all willing, like they weren't forced to go meet with these predators. And that goes back to the case of Instagram we talked about at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
This child was looking for a predator to go hang out with and hook up with.
Yes.
And that says something's gone wrong. Definitely something's gone wrong.
Very sad.
It is. It's very, very sad.
And
it's scary, you know? And it's very scary. It is very scary. So just a few minutes left in the show here. Let's see. Let's look really quick at this. This is just some warning signs. And we have a whole bunch of information on our website, protectyourchildren.org. There's an in-depth protection packet that was put together years and years ago. It's very in-depth. It's kept up to date with everything that's going on. It outlines all the traps, the tricks, the threats, the warning signs, the things that you can look for that might indicate something's wrong. It highlights some of the behavior changes. It looks at profiles of predators, how to keep your kids safe online, how to keep them safe from kidnapping. Tons of great information. ProtectYourChildren.org. You can do zip code predator searches. You can, do background checks on people if you're kind of concerned about something. We can do that for you. There's a lot of stuff that we have available on our website, ProtectYourChildren.org. But some of these warning signs here, it says your child may be in contact with an online predator if he or she, ready for this, becomes secretive about online activities. Okay, that can be spotted, right? Kids don't want to be around the adults when they're going online. Hey, what's up? Why can't you sit right here, right? Becomes obsessive about being online. Gets angry when he or she can't get online. Receives phone calls from people you do not know or makes calls to numbers that you do not recognize. Yeah, that's super, super important. If you can watch their phones, you'd see that. Receives gifts, mail, or packages from someone you do not know. Yeah, that's a flag, right? We had that story a few weeks ago about the girl who got Legos, and the mom was like, "Where'd you get these new Legos?" I found them. My friend gave them to me. Yeah, right. Give me your phone. Yeah. And mom went through the phone and found out it was a predator that got them for her, and they found everything that was going on and went and got the predator. But that was mom being like astute and just going, "Hey, wait a minute, what? You got something for free?" Yeah. No. Kids aren't getting stuff for free unless it's known about by the parents. Okay, something's up, right? If the child withdraws from family and friends, they change screens or turns off computer or their phone when an adult enters the room, there's something going on. Let me see what you're looking at. If a child begins downloading pornography online, there's an indication that something's happening. And in fact, the case that we talked about, referenced at the beginning of the young teen going to meet the predator, that was one of the issues. Mm-hmm. Going back in the web history, this child had been looking at porn online prior to wanting to go meet. And that just tells you what happens when a child is viewing this stuff. It starts to change their brain, and it just starts to change their brain patterns and just the way they think, and it just basically any inhibition they would have goes away.
Exactly.
And it just, like you were saying before, the appetite just starts to grow. It starts off with one Playboy, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like it just gets worse and worse and worse. Yes. And Tracy says need to be engaged with your kids. still be nosy as well, because you just never know. And it's exactly right. You just never know. And so we're going to ask people to share this. The podcast will be up in about 15 minutes. It's on all of our platforms. Please go and like it, share it, get it out to lots of people. This is, this isn't just something we do because we got nothing better to do on a Wednesday night, right? I mean, this isn't like going to the game or hanging out, right? This is very important. This kind of information and education can save children's lives.
And it takes a lot of put together one of these shows. Chris goes through a lot of different things to make sure that the show is there, and that all the investigation and all the research that he does to put this stuff together. So I appreciate you, Chris, for all that
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank
you. Yeah. And we appreciate it. Yeah, we appreciate everybody that's watching, and we're still asking for more engagement, like in the group, it's really picking up, which is great. On our Facebook page itself, who knows what's going on there? I think we're shadow banned or blacklisted or something, because we post on there every day, and I think 2 people might see something we post out of 5,000. So something's going on there, which is kind of why we started the group. And there's a whole lot more interaction in the group, which we're thankful for. But, like I said, we don't want to speak to the choir, right? We want to bring you information that you may not be aware of. And we want to bring people in that may not be aware of the dangers that are out there. We want them to come in to the show and hear and learn and get woken up going, hey, wait, maybe I need to go check my kid's phone.
Yeah.
Because you may save their life. I mean, listen, the situation we talked about at the beginning, that was we call it a God thing, a God incident, because the young teen had left his phone down and walked away for a minute. And it just so happened that it wasn't locked. So it was like, whoop, they swept up the phone and looked at it real quick and just kind of just swiped and saw something and went, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
And that kind of started, making people alert to what was going on. But, you often think about what would happen if no one had checked that phone still. That child was on their way to go meet with a predator who had already kidnapped and repeatedly raped 2 boys.
We need to be proactive.
I mean, that's scary. That child's life was about to be never the same.
Yeah.
And possibly ended because while I was too busy to check the phone. I'm sorry, parents. Look, we love you out there, but if you can check Facebook and you can be on TikTok making videos and you can check all this stuff online, you got time to go through your kid's phone.
Yeah. And
that's it, man. There's no reason to not be nosy and check their phone. Their life is on their phone. Look for hidden apps. Look for hidden accounts. Just don't check their Instagram that you're following them on and you say, oh, everything's fine there. Yeah, well, this young teen had another Instagram account.
Exactly.
It was hidden. The one that was doing everything on. So, but you can know that by going to Instagram, clicking to where they sign in. It'll show other accounts that were logged in, and you can, hey, where'd this come from? Parents, you got to be proactive because it can turn around in a heartbeat.
It can, and we have to be diligent about protecting our children.
Yeah, they are the future. They're our hope of today, right? They could be the next hero that we just saw before in the hero segment. Mm-hmm. They could, maybe they're just going to be the light of our lives, right? You know what I mean? To enjoy and to be blessed by. And something like this happens, and it'll turn their whole life upside down. It'll rip them apart, and they're scared. And if this whole situation with this other kid, this was going on 3 or 4 months, and the depth of what was happening was just absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
And, imagine a child that's already gotten so deep into it. The threats are there. And Marie, you mentioned about the 30-year-old perv talking about, hey, I'm gonna blackmail you with your pictures, right? Well, now they call that sextortion. Right. And that's what these predators are doing to these kids now. They take their videos, they take their pictures, and they come back to them and they say, guess what? I got your videos and your pictures now, and all your friends are going to see it, and they're going to see our conversations, and they're going to know what you're doing and what you did, and everyone's going to laugh at you. You're never going to get a job because these pictures are going to be out all over the internet unless you come and meet me and do what I want you to do, and then I'll keep your little secret for you.
And like what you said a couple of weeks ago, they can rearrange the photo to make it look like you're naked and extort you that way.
That's AI now.
And it's so scary. And it's like, parents, do your due diligence and check your children's phone, check your children's social medias. I mean, it could save their life.
Yeah, quite literally. Quite literally. And as the family found out with this child.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a wonder that hadn't happened already, you know?
Yeah.
So it's very, very important. And yeah, we just have to be diligent. And again, it's not comfortable. It's scary, right? It's scary to have to like, oh my gosh, you know, like, do I have to find out about this? You know? Yeah, it is scary, but is it worth being shook up a little bit in order to save your kid's life? I'd say so.
Absolutely, it is.
I mean, you know, that's the difference between, between like, well, I'm not gonna pay attention to this, and hopefully it